All right. Hello, bonjour, Annie. Hola. My name is Garrett Ryan. I'm with Artist Relations here at Fringe North this season. First of all, I want to say thank you for everyone being here, and we're super happy to be back here on our Fringe North Artist Roundtable. We're doing these every Thursday evening until the festival begins on August 16th. And today we are here with I see. So your name is Richard on here, but I've seen Ricky as well. Which do you prefer?
Ricky.
Ricky, awesome. We're here with Ricky of Suicide Records, and we're so happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How's you in the stew now?
No, I live in Deborah, so I'm on
Deborah.
the outskirts.
Where is that? I don't think I've ever been.
40 minutes outside of the Sioux towards Sudbury.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, yeah, I have. I've like driven through. I've driven through. Amazing.
You have to
That's
if you're
cool.
going to Toronto.
Yeah. Awesome. Uh, how how long have you been there? I know. Are you from the Sioux originally, or
Uh, Anybody from this area considers themselves from the Sioux because nobody knows where this area is.
oh
And on
yeah,
top
fair
of like
enough.
the major hospital in the area, you're probably born in the Sioux. So
Cool.
I've
Fair enough.
been mostly from this area my whole life. So
Awesome. That's cool. What's the like population there?
here, 400, mostly
400.
Mennonites.
Oh yeah, really? Okay. Very interesting. That's I'm excited to talk a little bit about growing up there and that influence on some of your work. But first things first, why don't you tell us a little bit about the show that you're bringing to Fringe North this season?
Oh, I I didn't realize this was an interview, but okay. um, I don't know. Like I guess we got a bunch of people from different parts. Like I'm from Deborah Bruce Mines, like roughly. So Bruce Mines is another 10 minutes down, and that's where I grew up most of my life. But I also lived here for quite a bit. Um, I have another part of the group from Echo Bay, and then we have another person that's going to be performing that's from Searchmount. So it's kind of all from the outskirts of the Sioux.
Very cool.
And we just, I don't know, we just make music about what's happening in our lives, and that's basically that.
That's cool. How long have you been doing that for as a group?
um, 7, 8 years, not and like together. I kind of like I knew of my friend Cody from Echo Bay for a while, but I didn't know he was making music. So I mostly kept to myself with music. And I don't know if you've heard of Shane, DJ Seath
Yeah, of course.
at all. So like he was having some sort of event at his house, and I showed up there to see what he was doing, and then all of a sudden I got brought in into the mix with a bunch of different people in this genre that make music, and I just started coming out from there about 8 years ago.
Amazing. So what's your how long have you been doing music in general then?
Um, since I was about 6, 7 years old, I was in a choir for church, and then my mother taught me musical notation, and I took piano classes, and I've been involved in all sorts of different other things. I used to be the little drummer boy in I can't remember what
Nice.
it's called, the Holy Walk. A lot of people know what that is in Bruce Mines. I was a little drummer boy, so I've always been involved in music, some and doing some sort of thing since I was a kid.
Very cool. That's what first of all, how do you kind of describe the genre that you work in with Suicide Records? Is it like hip hop, I guess? Is that the
Well, Our like we call it a record label. It's just a bunch of us making music, and it has
Right.
no actual affiliation to any genre. But the
Okay.
genre I make, I would consider it hip hop
Cool.
because I I rap, but I also sing. I also write country. I write rock music. Other people make rock, have made country, have made different. So we're not to one genre, but the main genre I make, I would consider that with a little bit of different tones of other
Right.
genres.
That's cool. So how I would imagine that growing up where you did, there's not a huge hip hop influence. I don't know, or maybe there is. I don't know. Like, what's
No,
where did you first kind of get into that side of music?
mostly country actually around here, and I'd say easy rock. And like when I went to high
Cool.
school, easy rock and heavy metal, everybody listened to. I was the odd one out, but I don't know. Somebody showed me Eminem when I was probably 8 years old, and I didn't realize that. But I'd also listened to Beastie Boys and different
Oh yeah.
other genres, and but it was actually like Eminem back in the day that I'm like, hey, I can actually write my feelings out on paper and express myself because I didn't know how
That's
to do that then.
cool. What was what what era of Eminem would that have been? Not to age you, but just out of curiosity, I'm trying because I was
Eminem
a big Eminem fan
show,
when I was growing up too.
Eminem show, Marshall Mathers LP.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
so
been no, go ahead.
well, I'm 33, so
Okay.
that puts that in context.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's like I feel like that's like peak Eminem for you to be in high school listening to that, like that era of things. That's awesome. Yeah, I was a big fan as well, but it was not very popular. You're right. It was more country and yeah, easy rock too for sure. Um, do you think it's shifting at all? I feel like hip hop's becoming a lot more mainstream in the smaller towns and stuff as well. Like it's kind of spreading. I don't know if you find that.
I kind of find all music is kind of slowly integrating into each other in some way or form. You're finding
Cool.
different tones of certain things in the hip hop genre, and you're finding even in country now more of a poppy kind of
Yeah.
hoppy aspect to it. So everything's slowly integrating.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So when you said when you first got started, it was like really a way to kind of express things and put it down on paper, put thoughts down on paper. Um, is that you think still true of the creation process for you as you're working on music? It's like a outlet to kind of express things.
I don't push anything um necessarily like I write by feeling. So if
Yeah,
if I have a feeling, I start writing and it usually just forms itself. But if I feel like I'm done for the day, I won't keep pushing myself to write because I don't want to I can't replicate that feeling. It has to be exactly what I'm feeling at that moment and that same kind of vibe for me to keep writing it. So when I'm writing a song, it has a certain vibe to it, and then I write like a storyline. It's like a story. I have a beginning, middle, and end. I have something that draws you into it. A chorus, usually, sometimes a bridge,
that's awesome.
but it's
So do you
very
do the whole? You do every aspect of the music, like the instrumental
sometimes.
and
Sometimes it depends. And so this is the great thing about music is like if I'm going out and I somebody shows me something I really like it, then I might use that. If I'm making something and I really like it, then I'll use it. And if I hear something that I've liked off of even YouTube, for instance, I will pursue that artist, whoever made that, I will pay them for it and use it. I don't just stick to doing it myself necessarily. It depends, because if something I've written is really, really good, I can't replicate that same feeling by doing
Yeah,
it myself. I have to use what I wrote that for.
interesting. That's very interesting. I'm not a I'm not a music guy, but it sounds like it's very flexible depending on what you're trying to express. That's very cool. What instruments do you play then? Are you said piano you started with and you did
That's it. I'm
drums in the
left-handed.
context of the drummer boy.
Yeah, I can't do drum. I can only pound it like with a 1-2 beat.
Yeah.
But no, I used to sing and I played piano. I was taught piano. I'm not the greatest at piano, but I can play enough that I can read notes, I guess. Um, Guitar, I'm left-handed. Always wish I could learn, but can't. I started learning right-handed and it's hard to flip it around.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I collect instruments.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
got a
cool.
saxophone, can't play it. Got an accordion, kind of play it.
Oh, that's cool. Accordion's cool. Saxophone is brutal. I tried to do saxophone in like middle school band and it didn't work. I could not get anything out of that. But they're cool. They're cool looking. Um, what so what does it look like to be working or to be doing music where you are right now and collaborating with artists from around that area? I imagine it's somewhat difficult in terms of resources and things like that. If you're like doing I imagine you're just kind of doing everything yourself, right? Like you're producing, but you're also writing and creating and things like that.
um, I don't necessarily know how to approach this question, but I worked with a few people in the Sioux. Typically, like, there's not many artists that I know out here, so I usually have to travel to
Yeah.
do anything or just work on email. Eventually, I built my own home studio so that I can do stuff at home when I'm off, but you also got to work full time to support yourself. So that's
Mhm.
that. Because let's just face it, music isn't a sole supporter for most people, and you either do it for fun or you end up getting lucky and being able to do it as a business as well. But
Mhm.
I think that if it's solely a business, then it loses all the value. Stop writing just for you and it's more for money. So
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying for sure. So you're more interested in just making music when you want to make it versus like if you got to just kind of keep churning it out, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially. And don't get me wrong, like I could freestyle a song in 2 seconds. I
Mhm.
make a song a day, but doing it on a timeline, doing it when someone says, "Hey, jump, make a song," like that just seems it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, I get it. It's taken out. It's losing something for sure. Yeah, you want to be able to actually say something with your art, and it's just like if you're doing what you're told to do, it kind of it lacks something. I mean, it's great the people that are able to make money off of doing things like that, but it is it's a bit it's weird, it's for sure. But anyway, it's great that you're able to have like the studio in your house and everything like that and collaborate with the other artists. um I met a few people in the Sioux doing Fringe that have kind of talked about uh, the music scene in the city and things like that. How do you do a lot of performances outside of Fringe, or are you mainly focused on just like producing it yourself and putting it out there? Like online and things like that, or how often are you uh, actually doing performances in the city and things like that?
I was doing performances fairly frequent up until I'd say this year.
Cool.
Maybe even like half of last year and start of COVID, because COVID was kind of
Yeah.
stupid for performances. But this year mainly, uh a lot of stuff happened with work, so I've had to be there more.
Right.
And so I haven't been able to do as many performances as I wish, but that is probably going to change next year, just because I
Cool.
put the effort in this year, so then I can do it next year. But yeah, I was touring for a while. I did a bunch of cities across Ontario. We were putting on our own shows regularly in the Sioux every couple months, and
Awesome.
they were they were they were fun. Um, that yeah, I don't know. I never say no to an opportunity. If someone asks me to perform, I'm usually like, okay, if I can make it, it's in my work schedule, then yeah. And then if sometimes I'll try and change around my work schedule to make it work, but that's just
Mhm.
don't say no to an opportunity, right? I love performing.
100%. Yeah. What was it? What kind of cities did you go to on the tour?
I've went to Kingston, Ontario, Toronto, Newmarket, Keswick, Barrie, Elliott Lake, Sudbury, Thunder Bay. Well, I've done a couple shows here in Deborah too as
Cool.
well. Um, I think there's one more. Oh, London, Ontario.
Oh yeah.
Did a couple
Okay.
in London. But
Cool.
yeah, and I've wanted to go outside of that, but yeah, like work's kind of hard to be able to
Yeah.
plan stuff. So I what I do is I plan a weekend, do like shows one weekend, do another two shows the next weekend or a couple weekends later. A lot of traveling, but it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What were your favorite cities to do? I imagine there's a big difference in doing something in Deborah versus like Toronto or London or some of the bigger places.
Well, the Sioux has always been my favorite, just because it's home. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Toronto was my favorite. Other than that, and it wasn't. It was because I was hated. As soon as I went there, they made me the host for the night. So I went up and I was hosting the event, and everybody hated me in the audience. And I had about 100 people there. And so then after my first song, people started moving closer. My second
Hmm.
song, people moved closer. My third song, everybody was in the front. And then I said, hey, if you guys make noise now, and keep in mind, they were booing me at the start, right? If you guys make
Right.
noise and support me, I will freestyle off the top of my head. And they're like, everybody went wild. And I was kind of stunned, because I was like, oh, you guys really hated me and now you love me. So,
That
but
sounds great. That's
that's
good to
why
know
it was my
you're,
favorite.
yeah. Where was that in Toronto that you performed? If you
I think the NV bar is what it is. So like in the downtown region.
Cool. I'm in Toronto right now, so I've been to some of those places, some of the smaller cool performance venues. We got a few really cool ones here. That's great that you were able to do that and come to Toronto, come to all these places. What were the logistics of like putting that together? Were you contacting people directly, or were people contacting you and approaching you to come to places, or was someone else setting things up? I have no idea what it looks like to do a tour as a musician, so I'm curious.
Kind of both, honestly. And like, well, like I call it a tour because I'm like going out every weekend. But like, yeah, I was messaging, hey, we have some
Yeah.
shows going on here. Like, okay. Like, they're like, would you like to be on? Yeah, sure. Then I seen there was a couple other shows that were going on. It's like, hey, I'm in this area. Can I be on your show? Yeah, sure. Okay. And then just like that, all of a sudden I got shows lined up almost every single weekend in different places. Some set up by people, some set up by myself. And then I've even set up a couple shows in different places. So
That's really cool. So some of them you're doing just you, or you're most of them you're performing with a few other artists?
Always, well, it's always with artists. Hip hop events, you probably have like 8 different artists performing,
Oh yeah,
and they set up through a period of 4 hours because like you could play it nonstop. With bands, you got to set up, deset. You don't really have that
right.
most of the time. You're just setting up a computer, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
easy
yeah.
the music going because as soon as the music dies, people go out for cigarettes. Some people leave, some people don't. So if you have music always playing, then people stay.
Yeah. Do you find it's aside from the setup and the takedown, like just the general energy at a hip hop event versus other music, do you find a big difference? Say if you go into like a country thing versus a hip hop thing, is the what's the vibe of the crowd like?
I know I've never been to a soul country shirt. You know what? The best shows mixed genre. Tell you what,
Oh
mixed
yeah,
genre because you
yeah,
get the whole different thing. Everybody likes something different, and everybody's having a great time because there's always that one or two friends that really don't like the genre but came for their
yeah.
friends. So mixed genre is the way to go. But I don't know. There's not a like. I mean, heavy metal. I've been to heavy metal shows, and those guys are crazy,
Yeah.
running into each other.
Yeah, so I've been to some shows that are like everyone sits in their seat and listens and then they go home, and then I've been to some that are a lot more hectic, and those are more fun. The ones where you're like worried about getting trampled on in the crowd are a little bit more fun, I think. But yeah,
I
but
stay to the outskirts, but I enjoy watching it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't get too deep in it unless you're I don't know. You got to be really ready to defend yourself in there. But yeah, um, that's really cool. I had no idea what it looks like to be planning tours and different shows like that. But that's very interesting. Um, Aside from you've talked a few times about the work schedule kind of being an interference in doing some of these tours and shows and things like that. Do you have any other challenges that you have to deal with as a musician?
Kids. I
Kids.
got 3 kids that are all under 5 years old. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one. Work full
Yeah,
time and
yeah,
they're a full time job as it is. So
I'm sure. Yeah. How I think when you did the show last year, your kids were there. Is that true?
yeah, they were dancing.
Is that Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I wasn't sure if that was your kids or not. That's awesome. Do they? Is that a frequent thing? Do they come to a lot of your shows and stuff?
Oh yeah, they love it. When they hear me performing, their face lights up and they start dancing. They love it. And also they like I said, the studio here, we have it at home. They come and play in here regularly. Love playing with instruments. They're all going to be somewhat music involved
Oh, that's
anyway.
amazing. What's the oldest one is how old?
Going to be 5. She's
Okay,
4
so
right now.
I guess not at the age where you would have started any lessons or anything like that, but just like showing interest and
Not necessarily lessons, but I mean, they're getting lessons as much as they'll pay
yeah, yeah, yeah,
attention
for
to.
sure. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I was gonna ask if that's of interest to you to push your kids into doing some music and stuff. I mean, I guess it seems like they're coming to it rather than you trying to push it on them. Like it seems like they're just naturally very musically inclined from the way they respond to it.
I was going to say, like, I don't want to necessarily push them, but
Yeah,
I want to support them, but I don't
yeah,
want to push anything because I don't want to tell them what to do and what they should like, what they shouldn't like necessarily. Like growing up in this area, everyone tries to push being an athlete on you, and
right.
that just wasn't my thing. Growing
Mhm.
up, so I was kind of an outcast, but I don't want to do that to them. If they want to be like that, if they don't want to do music, that's fine. But they all seem to gravitate towards it, so which is nice.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, for sure. You want them to. Well, how musical were your family growing up?
Like my mom was in the choir, and then my dad sang country. So, but and then
Yeah,
my
so
uncle was a country
so,
singer too. So yeah, like we're fairly musical, I guess.
yeah, so it sounds like it's in the family a little bit. That's cool. That's very cool. How did your dad react to doing like hip hop versus country? Is he into the hip hop stuff or
Not really, but
fair
no,
enough?
he's not really into it. But he's kind of one of the ones that show me it. So like,
Okay,
it's kind of funny. It's
very
weird
cool.
because he used to listen to a lot of different stuff he listens to now, but he still listens to stuff he listens now. But before he was more open to a different bunch of different genres. So he showed me a lot of different types of music, and now he's more like one genre.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of funny.
Was he was he the one who got you into Beastie Boys? I feel like that would have been kind of in his, or was that more you?
That was my dad.
Yeah, 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 okay, I figured. I love Beastie Boys as well. That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah, well, that's great. Well, it sounds like he was a great influence in you doing this work, though. That's great. Um, what I guess outside of some of the family influence, who do you think has been the biggest inspiration for you doing the work? Like who have been either local people that you've maybe looked up to in the music that they've done, or I mean, we talked about a few musicians already, but if there's any other artists that have really influenced the work you do, I'm just curious what kind of pieces you've taken to get your sound.
um, well, I'm not necessarily taking local bands for my sound. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
My sound changes. Like I don't really, I don't draw one influence, but I do draw many influences. Because like this recent song I'm doing, I draw blues. I don't even listen to blues, but for some reason that's what came out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
rapping, and then I got a blues undertone singing in the background as I go along. Um, Local bands though, like there's tons of local bands that I'm die hard for, like Dire Setback, Handsome Sandwich, like Angel Zura, Hack'em Lube. Like I don't know, and that these are different genres, right? So this is like Hack'em Lube and Angel Zura is like drum and bass, like electronic music, and then you got like an kind of an easy rock sound for Handsome Sandwich, and you got like more of a punky sound for Dire Setback. Like listen to them. Like
That's
my buddies like Kodak's, like he's rap, and like I draw big into him. TNT Sound Syndrome, their rap,
mm-hmm.
draw into them. I kind of just I listen to I'll listen to local bands.
Yeah,
Uh, I, and I will listen religiously because to me, like they become my friends as well, and I really do enjoy their music. I enjoy it more than some of these mainstream people. I've stopped listening to mainstream music probably the
yeah,
last 10 years just because it's all the same. They're saying the same old thing, doing the same old
yeah.
thing, and they don't promote really anything. So,
Right. Do you find then you do a lot of collaboration in the city then with some of the other local artists? Like I don't know if it's you're forming friendships just like as friendships, or if it's becoming more like you do a lot of events and things like that together. I don't know what I
um,
feel like in a smaller place you'd have to rely on each other a little bit more. Like,
so like with the hip hop artists, for instance,
yeah,
my whole album was my last album was a whole collaboration album. I had 5 songs that were mine out of 20, and the
right.
rest of the so 15 songs were me with other people from the Sioux to Thunder Bay,
That's
basically.
cool.
So, and that was that, and even then, I had a couple people that were in it that weren't in the hip hop genre. Um, me and my friends, we did a charity event called Sunny Vibes, which was for my dead friend that was part of our band when we started. And so it was just a mixed genre concert. So we'd bring a lot of different bands in to perform alongside us, and they were awesome. They were always awesome.
Yeah,
Very supportive.
that's awesome. That's great to hear. I think generally speaking, from my experience, I see a lot more friendly collaboration in places like the Sioux versus Toronto. Toronto seems a lot more cutthroat. I'm sure there's a lot of great people collaborating, but I guess just more people trying to climb the ladder or whatever. And I know a lot of local musicians in some of the smaller places that share similar stories of collaborating with everyone and doing these events together and stuff. Um, I am also curious what you mentioned wanting to do some tours and stuff outside of where you've gone before. Um, what I guess first of all, what would be your ideal place to go play that you haven't played?
So I want to do the East Coast and West Coast, but like my family's from the East Coast, so preferably Nova
Oh,
Scotia, Halifax, like Quebec, like those are the first place I want to go and expand. Then eventually go to British Columbia in the West Coast, and all the way along out there. But yeah, my I guess would be doing the cities here in Ontario first, and then that I mentioned, and then as well doing probably Hamilton and Ottawa is the next steps. And
very
because I
cool.
have family there that are gonna help that will help me set up these shows there, and then from there, I don't know, we'll just keep trying to expand. But
That's awesome.
not every it's they're not going to be big shows like those probably first few shows in those new places. I'm only going to have 10, 20 people. But if they really
Mm-hmm.
like the show, the next time I come through, they're going to bring another 10 people, and then that's
Exactly.
how you do it.
Yeah, for sure. Hamilton and Ottawa both. Uh, I lived in Ottawa for a bit, and I'm close enough to Hamilton. They both have really cool music scenes there, so those will be great places for you to go. Um, and then outside of touring, what is your dream project? I guess that you haven't done something that you've for whatever reason, time, money, like if all of that was put aside and you could do anything, what would the kind of big project look like for you?
I don't know. like the thing is like I've done everything I've wanted already, other than like just keep performing, going to bigger places, more places, and getting bigger shows. But I've done sold out shows. I've done medium shows. My whole dream was to perform and to make music. I'm doing that. My dream was to own a studio that does that. My first dream was to own a house, and I bought my own house and completely own it. So I'm good with that. And
Great.
so I've gotten every single dream I've worked for. So it's just now to keep performing and make my voice heard and make people feel the message I'm trying to send.
That's awesome. And for someone else who's just starting out in the city or somewhere around the city, like where you're from, what would be some advice you could give them?
uh, make friends, I guess. Uh, make music. Don't judge. Don't hate. Like that just blocks your opportunities.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anywhere where people can find some of your work and follow you on social media, anything like that?
I'm on Spotify, SoundCloud, I guess, every single streaming service, Instagram, TikTok, and all those things. Although, like, some of them are not really. It's just me drunk having fun sometimes. But
That
uh,
sounds great.
I'm on every single thing. You'll find me as Ricky. But if you look up the Pied-Eyed Piper, that's what you'll find. That's my stage name when I dress up in purple. little joke
Awesome.
thing. So a lot
That's
of people
great.
know me as the purple person.
Cool. Amazing. And we're super excited to see you back at the festival. Hopefully your kids will be there dancing again. That was a lot of fun. Or that
Well,
was a big
it's
highlight for
night,
us.
so they might not be there this time. But
That's fair enough. Yeah. Well, anyway, we're looking forward to seeing you. Thanks so much for having this chat with me. It's been great.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for tuning in. Merci miigwech, gracias. And just a reminder, the Fringe North 2023 will be from August 16th to the 20th. And you can check out our website, all our social media channels in the description below for more information. And if you want to support the work that our team is doing, you can consider tipping the Fringe. You can find that in the description below as well. And we will be back on next Thursday for another artist roundtable. We're looking forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much again, Ricky. It's been great.
Thanks.